Hello, this is Travis Ewart with Invictus Gymnastics, and we're going to take a look at the two-step muscle-up today. The two-step muscle-up is a muscle-up that I prefer to do on the long strap rings. These are very long straps here in this gym, and that differs from the hip driving muscle-up, which I find more appropriate to use with shorter straps. Now, to go into the pieces that you guys need to know about this type of muscle-up is I call it a two-step, essentially because you swing to a supine position, which is kind of like being on your back facing the ceiling, and then a dynamic ring row to get yourself to transition over the top. We're going to go through the 5 steps that get you through this muscle-up without breaking height in the front or making some common mistakes, such as your hips going up at the same time as your shoulders and then missing the rep. First part that we're going to work on is the supine swing. Now, as I mentioned just a moment ago, the supine swing is essentially swinging until your body is facing the ceiling. The difference with this swing compared to a regular ring swing that we do for training the ring swing is that we're going to allow the arms to come down in front of us. So we're going to get that nice big back swing that we're always trying to look for, where our head is through, our heads are looking toward the floor, our body is lengthened out. We're going to keep our legs relatively straight. On this muscle up, you can get a little floppier than on the hip driving muscle up. So they don't need to be exactly straight, but we're going to go with relatively straight. From there, we're going to allow our body to swing up and try to use the momentum from the back swing to achieve full horizontal position. If you are practicing the supine swing alone as its own movement, it is okay for your feet to go too high, but just keep in mind that in the actual muscle up, that if your feet go higher than the rings, it's a no rep. So we don't want to go there for the supine swing into the two-step muscle up. First part, we're going to jump up, hang on the rings, make sure we get a good grip. Remember that with kipping ring muscle-ups, we do not use a false grip. We're going to keep a neutral grip. I'm going to keep my palms facing forward as I do on the other muscle-ups, just like I'm holding onto a bar, and then produce a back swing and see how much power I can get into the forward swing. Again, the idea is to have our feet as high as our shoulders, so we are flat, laid back on our ceiling facing, and our head in line with the rest of our spine. So we will actually be looking at the ceiling, not forward. All right. So that's the supine swing. It's pretty self-explanatory, not a lot of moving parts. And this is really the swing that people tend to do when they're practicing ring swings before they know exactly how to keep the rings back behind their head. That has a different application. This is specifically for this type of muscle up. Okay, step 2. From that supine position, we're going to try to do what kind of looks like a kipping pull-up on the bar. We're going to allow our feet to swing forward. We're going to get into that full supine position though, unlike on the bar. And then we're going to pull our chin over the rings, pulling the rings toward our shoulders and allowing our feet to drop. So the important thing to remember about this is that your feet need to come out into the supine swing and then drop into the pull-up. From there, to connect these, you actually have to push your feet back out to the supine swing position and down. So this is two-step process. You swing to horizontal, pull yourself up into a vertical position. We're going to allow the knees to bend. We're going to kick our legs back out and then swing back down. Okay, so that's step 2. We're just doing a pull-up. It shouldn't be overly complicated, but what I find seems to be the trend when people are making mistakes is they fail to take the time to wait to the end of that supine position. Make sure you guys swing all the way up into that full supine position, pause, and that way your feet will actually drop. If you try pulling too early, your feet come up, your knees end up next to your chest. Now, as you noticed during this exercise, I allowed my legs to drop beneath me. That can only happen if your feet stop rising. So if you're finding that you're ending up in this tuck position at the top, just make sure you swing to that full supine position, pause, pull up, arms just go from here to here, and then kick your legs back out to come down. Step 3, we're gonna do the same movement, but we're going to try to lift our elbows up. So this is gonna be the in-between the pull-up and the actual transition over the top of the rings. Same movement going into it, supine swing, slight pause, but then when we pull up, we're gonna try to lift the elbows up. This can be kind of difficult, which is understandable, but what we're trying to do is get the idea that we're pressing down on the rings. The difference is that when I do the pull-up, pulling on the rings. I'm like holding myself up by pulling down. Now on this one, I want to be able to lift the elbow and be pressing down. So yes, I did pull it toward me, but then I flip the elbows up, and then I'm gonna go back into that supine position and swing back down. Not the prettiest movement, but I got my elbows to come up better as I progress through, and this should be the same for you. Okay, now step number 4 is we're going to transition. We have to make sure that we go to that supine swing position, pause, and then when we row, we're gonna throw our head up and over the top, and instead of pulling the rings to here or to here, we're going to pull them all the way down beneath our shoulders to our ribs. And because our feet are dropping, because we're patient in the supine swing, because our feet are dropping and our head is going that way, it's kind of like a half a forward roll. And just hold on to this position. And once you catch here, the transition is finished. The benefit to this is in this position, because of the way that you're rotating, you can actually kick your feet up and out behind you to drive the dip downward, more like a push-up than a dip, because it's easier to push in front of you. And so it makes kipping the dip very, very normal. It feels natural, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and do the supine ring swing into the transition. I'm not gonna kip the dip, I'm just gonna catch, and then I'm gonna come back down, try to redo it the same way. All right, so that's step 1, supine swing. Step 2, supine swing to pull up. Step 3, supine ring to high pull up, high elbows. And step 4, transition over the top. Now that we're there, might as well show you how we kip the dip. So I'm gonna keep looking down toward the floor, and as my feet go beneath me, I'm going to kick them out, do a push-up. That will complete my rep. Then I'm gonna swing my feet forward, come down, do a couple more muscle-ups. There you have it. That is a 2-step muscle-up.